Data looks backward, Clive looks forward, and AI infographics. Welcome to the Unlimited Supply Podcast, your daily music business TLDR in your ear, powered by tunnel vision and unwavering belief, and brought to you by No Disc, helping music technology and finance companies navigate the music industry, and partnered with Digital Music News. I'm Lars Murray. It's June 23rd, 2026. It's Tech Tuesday. But before we geek out, we're not going to see another Clive Davis in this industry, ever. If you're listening to this, you already know that he passed away yesterday at the age of 94. He may or may not have been the most successful music industry executive of all time, but he certainly was the most famous and influential, at least during his 50-year heyday, which is a long freaking time. I mean, he was already mounting his first comeback when he became the first music industry executive that I ever knew about when I was 11 years old, and he was riding a self-made publicity wave from his first book and from launching Barry Manilow. I read about him in the Poughkeepsie Journal. Ordinary record execs did not appear in the Poughkeepsie Journal. I never worked with him directly, though I used to see him in the elevator at Sony Music occasionally. I sat next to him once at an industry luncheon, and I think the extent of the conversation was something along the lines of, "Can you please pass the pepper?" All I remember is that he was gracious. On my part, I was frozen between wanting to ask him everything and wanting to be blasé. I opted for the latter, which means no good stories, but it was probably the right career move in the moment. I also went to the legendary Clive party at the Grammys twice, which in certain circles is a pretty big power flex. I'm choosing to exercise that power flex. If, like me, your music taste and Clive's were not usually in alignment, the guy's impact is undeniable. How about his late 60s pivot to rock at Columbia? How about his relentless pursuit of hits and his continued ability to make them happen from the 60s at least until the aughts across radio, TV, and at the end even, yes, the internet? They all shaped the culture, from Whitney Houston to Patti Smith, from Barry Manilow to Lou Reed. Of all the tributes out there, the most relevant quote I've seen is from Merck Mercuriadis. Quote, "Spotting talent is not difficult. Spotting it and knowing what to do is something very, very few can do." And Clive could do that. We aren't going to see another Clive. Music and media in general just don't work that way anymore. Media power is less concentrated. The playing field is more level. But nobody played the game better in his time. I could go on forever, but everybody else did already. The industry tributes are flying thick and fast. You can find them in a number of places, including Hits Daily Double and Billboard. The most journalistic obituary I've seen is Chris Morris's, with Jem Aswad's assistance over at Variety. During Clive's heyday, records came out on Tuesday. Now they come out on Friday, and Tuesday is for tech, so let's geek out. And when we say that, we mean let's talk about AI. Over at The Atlantic, Alex Reisner has a recurring column called The AI Watchdog. Good job for owning that title, Alex, and thank you for bringing to light a handy-dandy tool that artists and rights holders can use to see where their works are being used as AI training data. It's quite simple. You just type in the name of an artist or a song, and the list pops right up. So if, for example, some latter-day Clive Davis claims to have generated the next Bruce Springsteen with AI, well, if you know what platform they're working on, you can just type in Bruce Springsteen, and it'll tell you that that platform trained on Bruce. Hopefully, Bruce at some point will have a way to claim credit and get paid, but this is a good place to start. There's been a lot of consternation about the effects of generative AI on the sync world, and I had an interesting conversation a couple of weeks back outside of Indie Week with a prominent production music service exec. He told me he wasn't all that concerned as yet, because one key thing that production music customers want is to make sure that the music they choose is going to be fully and definitively cleared for use and not subject to fuzzy legal terms, which pretty much defines AI music right now. If you're interested in a deeper dive on this subject, Aaron Davison devoted an episode of his podcast, The Sync Lab, to the subject. There's a link in the show notes to his LinkedIn post. I'm going to make a bold prediction that in the coming months, we will be talking less about AI and copyrights and more about AI and workflows. In fact, I think it's so important that I'm taking an 8-week MIT course in AI transformation starting in a couple of weeks, and I'll bring you all along for the ride. In the meantime, here are a couple of items from the AI News You Can Use department. Ben James, Musicben of Studio, is a resource we often cite on Tech Tuesday. He's identified a list of 5 AI tools aimed at making things more efficient. Not sure if it's a definitive list, in fact, it's probably not, but he does touch on some general categories that everybody should be looking at, including a chat-based distribution service and a finder of lost royalties. Pulling back the focus on music-specific AI utilities to overall models, well, I can't vouch personally for Neha Rani of Gurugram University in India. In fact, it's entirely possible that she is an AI creation. Hit me up, Neha. Person or machine, she generated a handy-dandy guide to which models do what the best right now. As with anything in AI, you need to timestamp things with right now. However, it is a useful little infographic listing some of the strengths and weaknesses of, say, ChatGPT versus Claude. So if you're looking for shortcuts, check out the link in the show notes. Coming back to that generative AI content controversy and lawsuit action, the UK firm Information is Beautiful created another handy-dandy infographic that tracks who's suing whom in the AI universe. Like time, lawsuits are a flat circle, and that is exactly what the infographic looks like, with a whole passel of tech companies in the middle, like an Imperial Death Star, fighting off a 360-degree assault from aggrieved content owners. Yes, it may be a bit of a stretch to equate Disney to a ragtag group of Star Wars rebels, but putting Google and OpenAI in the Imperial Death Star seat really isn't much of a stretch. And as with Neha Rani's infographic, this one will have the shelf life of a Velvet Sundown song. Hopefully they will keep it updated as Clive Davis rests peacefully, untroubled by the effects of AI on business, culture, and society. Data looks backward, visionaries shape the future, which is why, while there already may be a Clive bot, it will never match the original. And that's another Tech Tuesday. Support for Unlimited Supply is provided by you, our listeners. Sign up for a year of support and get the limited edition Unlimited Supply Merit Badge Trucker Hat, which we manufactured in limited quantities by popular demand. If you're just dipping a toe in, you can also get yourself the Unlimited Supply Merit Badge, or literally just buy me a cup of coffee. There's a link in the show notes. If you like what you hear, please hit that follow button wherever you get your pods, including now Substack, and drop us a rating and or a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, and tell a friend or 3. Links are in the show notes, but you can also visit unlimitedsupplypod.com to sign up for our newsletter. Tell us what you think about the show, suggest feature ideas, feed us info, feed us lunch, call us out on our dubious assertions, and tell us what we're missing out on. I'm Lars Murray, and remember, in this business, no conflict means no interest.